Hello, everyone. I am going to talk to you about this group and the direction of this group now in a moment, or in a couple of moments later on. But first, I really want to share the message that is coming through me today. And I really want to drop something into this group that I hope you can really understand. And this perspective is very, very helpful. Now, if you're going to watch this, take a moment, tune out of the rest of the world, tune out of your thoughts, and become conscious, become present, become aware. You can still be busy in your life. You can still be driving your car or doing whatever you're doing while you're watching this, if you are doing something. And if you are watching on the replay or live, let me know who's watching. Say hello, let me know that you're here, as I can never actually see who's watching. So take a moment to be conscious and to bring yourself fully into this moment. Because this is the power of focus, of concentration. This interrupts the transmission of the rest of your life and brings you fully here. And when you do that, your consciousness has a moment to expand. And this really is what an evolution in consciousness consists of, are lots of these moments of choosing to be conscious, choosing to bring yourself fully into focus here and now. No longer being half present in your thoughts, half present in this idea and this thing you need to do later, and that thing that happened 5 years ago, and this thing that you're really struggling with. Choosing to draw your focus into this moment. And this is the cultivation of true wakefulness. And this really is our path, our journey here on earth. We are not here to get to a certain fixed destination. There is not a line that you cross where you are fully awake, fully aware, fully evolved, and then you cross the line. Congratulations, someone waiting there with a t-shirt for you and going to give you a pat in the back, and then that's it. You don't need to do anything. You're just retired, and then you go and just sip lemonade by a river, and that's it for the rest of your days. No, there is no destination. Even as a soul, you are continuously expanding your soul vibration, and through each lifetime you are growing in your consciousness, you're growing in your density, your spiritual mass. And in this lifetime, in this incarnation, you are doing that all of the time. So the path is a cultivation. The path is doing everything you can while in this form, not being so distracted by the story the form lives, the circumstances that you have to deal with, not being so distracted by those things, remembering it is about your evolution in consciousness, your evolution to include your view, to recognize more of the full you. And I really like using the way of seeing it as a view, because it is a view. A view is your awareness. As you begin to know more of yourself, your awareness expands to include a greater view of you. So this is why I like to look at it as a view. When you are living in a very conditioned perspective, when you are living in fear, when you're living in whatever story, narrative, or self-deprivating dialogue, your view is contracted, your view is closed off from the fullness of you. You cannot recognize the truth of yourself, the fullness of you, if you are also focused on a small story idea. So as we grow to expand more of our understanding of ourselves, we also expand in our view. And the path is the cultivation of this view. And the beautiful thing about the cultivation of this view is that it also supports your circumstances, your talents, your gifts. It supports all of the other aspects of your reality to also expand. But do not get lost focusing just on the expansion of those things from a contracted view. What I really feel is the way we are going about this is we are focusing on our expansion, learning to open up our bandwidth, and learning to perceive directly from our higher self the instructions of our blueprint for the way in which we are here to come into manifestation in form. I feel that we're not here to get our cues from circumstances, from the outside, from our thoughts, from what we think our circumstances need us to be. We are here to feel it internally. We are here to receive the instructions from our higher self, and we are here to act on those cues. So it's almost the other way around. We're here to manifest from the inner knowing, from the inner directive, not from what we believe the outside expects of us. So ultimately, the work is in cultivating a type of spaciousness in your being and in your presence so that you can go about your everyday life and you can recognize where you are being guided, and you can recognize the growth that you are being invited into, and you can recognize what are the communications from the greater aspect of me towards this partial aspect of me, in order for the partial aspect, aka my human vehicle, in order for the human vehicle to express more of the expanded aspect of me. What are the cues? What are the instructions that I'm receiving? And this is the way of navigating that we step into when we step out of being controlled by our mind. We're not responding to what the conditioning says. We're not responding to the conditioning and enforcing the conditioning. And also, we're not, what generally tends to happen as well, is once you become aware that you have conditioning and that you are here to overcome your conditioning, what you actually end up doing is you end up trying to work through your conditioning and fight it and dissolve it, but you're still bringing yourself down to the level of your conditioning. And within that, nothing could truly change. We are to cultivate the recognition of the true essence of what we are. And in this cultivation, in this recognition, we're able to open our eyes to what we truly are. And there is a natural uplifting that happens where we are taken from the hold of our conditioning. And if we are resolute in this recognition of ourselves, we can allow a very deep reset to happen, a deep healing and a disintegration of all of the difficulties and the conditioning and the pains that we may be holding. Everybody on this planet has experienced some degree of trauma, and trauma, difficulties, whatever it is. And in my opinion, this just comes from us not being adept in understanding how to process the things that happen to us. We live too much in the mode of the story and from the viewpoint of the human being and the identity. And when we are so fixated within that, we do get very caught up on the things that happen to us and the circumstances and what it means and who did this to me and who did that. And we don't recognize that we are actually here to energetically transform, and we are here to process these things and let them go. And I feel that this is really the root of why we all hold on to trauma and difficult stories, is because we haven't actually taken the space to process them, and they happen to a version of ourselves that didn't have the capacity and didn't have the tools to process these things. Now, I do believe that trauma is a type of there's a type of intelligence in the way that it naturally releases once you are ready to do it. But generally speaking, when you are awake, when you are aware, when you are connected to your true essence, you have got to go about your life where you are firmly choosing not to take on any more trauma, and you're choosing not to take on any more information that stays stuck in your system. Now, don't read that as nothing will ever happen to you. There may be things that happen that impact you, that leave an imprint on your system, but you know that you are here to work with it. You're not here to stay engaged with the story. You're here to work to free yourself from it, and you will be diligent in that. You will be focused in that. You will be committed to that. So that really is the difference. You'll know that you need to hold yourself in it This is just energy that needs to be transformed. You will also know if there is an energetic process to happen, if there's physical action to happen, because you've cultivated a space of receptivity and a space that listens deeply to your true aspect. Now, what I said in the description was this video is not saying you only need to focus on enlightenment and that it is it. What I'm saying is that we need to cultivate a space of presence within our lives so that we are not controlled by our conditioning, and so that we are free to interpret and to feel and to recognize the directive of our higher self that is here to guide this human incarnation. Your higher self is here to guide you towards fulfilling on your blueprint to the highest. It is here to support you. It is here to give you instructions. And from this limited human perspective, you don't actually have to manage the whole picture, because you do not have access to the whole picture. But your higher self does have access to the whole picture. Your higher self does exist in a realm that is more real, real in the sense of it is actually the truth of existence. This is just a realm a realm for experiencing, but it isn't necessarily the truest realm in a lot of ways. It is just generated for our experience. So your higher self does exist in that realm, and from this perspective, we aren't here to try to make everything happen, but we are here to surrender to that. If you interpret those instructions as you're just here to focus on enlightenment, what can actually happen with beings is that they can develop a type of polarization towards the spiritual only, towards spiritual focus, and towards this idea that you need to look a certain way and be a certain way while you are focused on your enlightenment. And so often the idea is based in an image, a notion within a type of dualistic viewpoint that the mind is cultivating. Whereas if you actually take the space to fully integrate into a new type of space within yourself, you are not moving yourself towards polarization in that way. You're not getting polarized towards one perspective or another perspective. Another perspective we can get very heavily polarized towards is the perspective of service, the perspective of being the creator, of being here to create. Now, let me tell you, we are all here to be of service. We're all here to create, but it's not necessarily something that we have to take hold of and grasp on from the human mind point of view. It is something that happens as a natural consequence of us being surrendered to our higher selves and to the way in which your soul essence wants to be manifested through this human form. It is a side effect, but is not something that you necessarily need to directly focus on and manage from this limited point of view. It happens as a result, and it happens as a natural result of being attuned and being harmonious with your greater aspect. So that, for me, is the important emphasis and the important cultivation that we are all here to have, is this ability to be completely connected and present to what we are in essence, even when we exist in this form, even when we exist within our circumstances, not being so distracted by the external things that we perceive, being able to hold a sense of recognition of our nature within all the external world. And from that place of recognition, recognize how to be fully present, how to feel the instructions that are coming through you, and how to not be pulled away from the recognition of the true nature of existence and pulled into the narrative of your conditioning. How to not be pulled into being unconscious. The conditioned self and the difficulties that it has are really based in this sense of separate self who has forgotten their fullest, most true essence. They've forgotten that they exist in an inseparable unity with all that there is. And maybe they are actually trying to get back there, but they're trying to get back there through the vehicle of the separate self. And the way back there, it doesn't really come through that. It comes through letting go of that and returning back to the essence and practicing that. We really can take a very direct approach to resolving our trauma, resolving our conditioning, and resolving our pain if we do it through working with the direct experience of what we are, and we don't try to do it from within the conditioned self, from within the mind, from within the programming. It doesn't happen that way. All you have to do is be convicted in your choice to let go of your conditioning, to let go of your trauma, to let go of the person that has the problems, the sense of the person, anyways. And I feel wholeheartedly that we can all resolve any amount of difficulty, trauma, conditioning if we are willing to do one thing and one thing only, and that is just let go of it. But the thing is that many of us are hurt, are wounded, and our heart is quite tender from having had to experience difficult things with other people or in our life. And that part of you actually needs holding in the process of you letting go of your conditioning and of the trauma as well. And we often hold on to the conditioning and the trauma because there is that part of us that wants to receive. And when we are working through the issue, when we're working through the matter, we are, in some ways, it is receiving in almost a backwards way. So I do feel very, very strongly that when we are working to free ourselves, it's important to have the balance between holding and nurturing the part of you that hurts, that has an emotional need to be held and supported and basically just be present with. That really is all it boils down to. There's nothing more complicated than that, other than being present with the sensations, being present with the emotions, being present with the pain and feeling it, not avoiding it, not believing that it's better without pain. The only way to resolution is to go through. That is it. Holding that. And if you work with the emotional charge around a particular pattern, whether it's trauma or conditioning, when you really work with that and you dissipate the charge, then it will be a lot easier to let go of the way the mental programming is happening inside of your head. Okay? So what I feel very, very, very strongly is that it's so easy to get caught up in trying to expand and transform from within our conditioning, from within our mind, from within the limited human being. It's so easy to be focused on the circumstantial change that we want to make, that we want to manifest, that we want to create. But really, if we focus on our expansion from an energetic and a spiritual perspective, we choose to rise above what we are experiencing and come into true presence and recognition of our essence, we will be able to attune to the natural flow of our soul that wants to come through us and the instructions that our higher self is giving us. So we will no longer be trying to manage our experience through the limited lens of the conditioned mind. And guys, newsflash, have you not noticed that the conditioned mind can also take on notions towards things that look like your spiritual path or your spiritual journey? Your conditioned mind tries to manage your way of being of service, of creating, of healing, of awakening. And sorry, but it can't actually do that. You need to let go of it. So that really is the thing, is letting go of the way that your mind, even your spiritual looking mind, is trying to control, and really coming back into recognition and cultivating that type of space. And no, that is not the same as focusing only on your enlightenment. They are very different. I hope you get the nuance. I hope you understand how this can be directly applied, and how what we are here to do is actually shift in our way of being and not be so focused on the external world. Of course, take responsibility for the external world, play your part, be a good human being, be loving, be present, be available for other people. Don't be an asshole. Like, don't just be out of integrity because this world isn't real and all of those kind of things. That's not how this works. But remember, you're not here to be externally directed by the outside. You're here to internally receive your directions and to move from there. So the practice, the path, isn't towards a destination where you're going to be perfectly awakened. It is towards the consistent practice, the consistent choice to become more awake, to become more conscious, to bring yourself fully to this moment. And this is only getting more and more urgent, that we are stronger in this, that we are more resolute in this practice, because we are experiencing a lot of hectic things in the external world. Even in just the online world, there is so much stimulation, there is so much input, and what this does is it dulls our sensitivity. And what we actually need is to cultivate our sensitivity, because within our sensitivity is our capacity to perceive the subtler aspects of our existence. And this perception of the subtler realms of us is what truly awakens us into direct experience of our deeper aspects. It is not about getting it from the world of information, guys. Even if it looks like spiritual information, it's still a type of stimulation. But a lot of spiritual information, to a degree, can be highly beneficial, of course. Like, this is a stream of spiritual information. But if you dropped in and you became conscious and you chose to connect in with this space, what's actually happening is a two-way conversation. You're receiving from me, but as you receive from me, how it's landing within your own being is also sending other types of communication to you. So this is a really nice place to be aware, is on how it lands for you and what it starts to blossom and illuminate to you inside of yourself. Because that is the communication that you actually need to really, really receive. And you may watch this in a week, you may watch this in a month, and you may get different instructions. You may interpret it a different way based off how your consciousness receives the message and can work with this. So we are working together in this moment. All you have to do is be present, not be distracted, and choose to fully bring yourself here, bring yourself now. And when you do this, this is what naturally creates the space for your consciousness to expand, bringing yourself into full concentration, full focus, full presence, choosing to be awake, and not worrying if you get distracted and pulled off, but choosing to bring yourself back, bringing yourself back time and time and time again. This is more important than if you have access to a perfected state, is your will and your resolve to continuously bring yourself back to being fully awake, aware, and present and conscious in each moment. The will to return after distraction is very, very, very important. And if you tune into what's at stake here, you will really be able to feel why you should cultivate this will. I mean, what's at stake here is that your conditioning, which is basically just the past and your past experiences, your conditioning will completely run the show. And you will not be able to blossom as fully as you are here to blossom. I mean, to continue to live by our conditioning is just to continue the past. It is to move away from expansion. And yes, it can seem so hard when we have got to overcome our conditioning and let go of something, and like there's a but on the other side is so much beauty, is so much freedom, and everything that you actually want. So even if it feels really hard to let go of something and you're really struggling with it, and you really are like, as you head up to the event point, you've got to trust that on the other side is everything that you want, more than you could imagine. Okay. So I'm so happy to have shared that message. I really, really want you guys to receive this. I really feel that what I've shared in a nutshell can give you so much. You've applied. It can set you free from so much affliction, because when we are run by the mind and our conditioning, it is just a pain in the ass and it is a struggle. And it feels so good to connect to these more subtler aspects of ourselves and to operate in this way. It just feels so good. So guys, of course I have Evolutionary Minds coming up. I don't know if you have seen or not, but this is where it's at. This is what I'm doing now, guys, and it's what I'm so called to give as much as I can. It's a 21-day container, a 21-day journey. It is a process, and it basically takes you through the process of really embodying and activating and stepping into access, what I was just talking about. So it is a 9-session practice where we have a practice each session, but it's a 21-day container. So we come into the container with a group with our intention, and you commit to the whole 21 days and you show up for the 9 sessions. If you can't be there live, of course you can do the recordings. Some people just join via the recordings because they recognize that they need to receive this work, they need to receive this upgrade, and this container is the permission slip and the bridge that they need to take. So that's why they go with it. Now, I haven't actually been very present in this group for the last couple of weeks, guys. I was actually so focused on the summer edition of Evolutionary Minds. The next one, by the way, is happening on the 16th to the 6th of October. 16th of September, there's my website, that's where you join. And I just did the summer edition and it was amazing. I just loved what I witnessed, and I'm so happy to be in this new era of my work. It took me so much this year to really come into this place, and I wasn't really sure what was happening and what I was being guided towards, but this is the result, and I'm very happy. I actually offered Evolutionary Minds in 2020 and 2022, and I always felt that it was one of my important bodies of work, but I was never quite at the point to really take it and make it what it was here to be until this year, until 2024. So in the 3 weeks of Evolutionary Minds, I was so present with the process and all the fine details of the energy and how it happens, and everything in my life paused. So obviously that's why I haven't been live streaming in this group. Everything else paused, and yeah, I really wanted to fine tune it and fine tune the way it worked, and I did just that. And the next one is now coming up. And I did say in this group a few weeks ago that I was looking for a new home for the group, tuning into the new direction. And actually, I could feel there was this new community expression that wanted to happen for me. And I thought it was maybe the paradigm shift group. But actually, I ended up making a small membership group for the people for after Evolutionary Minds. And this was the emerging community that I could feel. And this is the first time I've actually had a membership space, and I can't even say how deeply happy I am. Like there's this just hits so unbelievably different, and it feels so good to have this long-term support available to people. and for us to be connected in this way. It feels really, really beautiful. And in relationship to the paradigm shift group, I am not going to return to the ways in which we've been in the past, which is like a weekly live stream or a live stream every second week. I'm actually going to continue to have the space just open so I can intuitively pop in here every now and again with a share, just like what happened today. Like what happened today feels so good, and I'm so happy that I actually have the group available. Sometimes I was not sure if it was good to continue because I couldn't feel like I could fully commit to something regular, but I feel very, very strongly about the membership format, and I at some point will have another type of membership that isn't just for Evolutionary Minds people. But for now, I really am just feeling the momentum is taking me in this direction. Those who want to do this work, who want to go deeper, who want to commit in this way, this is just where I'm being guided. And I I do think at some point there will be something else. But for now, I'm going to keep the Paradigm Shift group open, and we're going to stay on Facebook. And I did look into other platforms, but to be honest with you guys, there's very little available with the same capacity that Facebook has. And a lot of them actually require substantial investment, and they don't even have as good of features as Facebook. So we're going to stay here, and I'm going to be back in every now and again when it's alive, when it moves. But in this live stream, there was so much. And please, if you're watching, if you've dropped in with this, I would totally love to hear. Feel free to share how this lands for you. Feel free to just share a small personal reflection. I actually may put this live stream on YouTube as well, so feel free, YouTube subscribers or non-subscribers who become subscribers, feel free to just write in the comment how this landed for you and how you're going to apply this. And yeah, it's definitely good to engage with the thing you have received as well, because it gives yourself the chance to kind of digest it in a bit of a different way. Okay. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm sending you all so much love. Paradigm Shift group, let's see. This is definitely the new chapter. I'm going to keep my finger on the pulse. It won't be too regular that I'm here. However, I will be here from time to time. Sending you all so much love. Bye.